That's the other thing that I just love about anime, It's like it comes from an imagination that's not even often the way Western culture thinks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like people that write stories, you know what I mean? Western culture stories, they have a certain kind of arc and certain characters, and you know what I mean? But such creative, imaginative stories that I could have never in a million years even thought of coming up with something. Maybe not that one, but just in general. Like Evangelion or, some of these shows that are like, how do they ever think of this and the amazing twists and turns that they put to shows?
Yeah, I think a big limit of that is how, at least in the Western culture, we view cartoons, is that it's either a big comedy or a satire thing, or it's for children. Yeah. And you kind of limit yourself there when you
That's
don't
a good point.
take it past that.
That's why I love that T-shirt that says it's not a cartoon, it's anime. Like, it's like something from Big Bang Theory or something. I think Sheldon has this shirt that says they're not cartoons, they're anime.
Yeah, and so like once you kind of let that go, you can do so much more because animation is fantastic, and you see it with a lot of indie films from other countries, and of course with anime. That there's so much more you can do than with live action.
It doesn't have to be a Miyazaki film to win awards.
Yeah, and there's a lot of freedom that you don't have with live action that kind of gets limited definitely in the West. Like I definitely think of cartoons as like it was on Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon, or it's like South Park, Family Guy, The Simpsons.
Right.
There's not really like a venue for cartoons to explore kind of the themes that we see in anime in the like cartoons in the West. So I do like that.
There's only been like a couple, like
the
Airbender.
Yeah, obviously that's not a
but
even all cartoons.
Sure, but even then, like that was targeted towards children.
Yeah, and then it evolved. Like the first season
evolved.
The first season.
Where it was.
I mean, like I love that show, but the first season is definitely targeted towards kids, 100%, and then it kind of grows out from there.
Yeah. I mean, and you're starting to see a different caliber of cartoons on like Cartoon Network and stuff too. Like you see Steven Universe, which is I cannot recommend that enough. Like takes like very good hints from anime, and like with the writer she worked on like Adventure Time and some other stuff too, and it's just fantastic. But obviously it's still geared towards kids. Like she said, like this is still a kids show, even though we have like these more adult themes and things that are just just fantastic storytelling. So it's kind of interesting to see how, at least through kids' cartoons, that some of the animators now and storytellers are trying to do different things with them, aside from them just being, kind of garbage or just fun time, whatever. I mean, they have more of a purpose, or say have like more of a meaning to them that give them a little bit more substance and make them more enjoyable.
Yeah, and obviously there's exceptions. Like there's like episodes of like Rugrats and stuff that are pretty deep. If I do say so myself. There's one that were like they unionize and stuff. But I think generally like you see a lot of evolution in Western animation.
Right.
And that's stuff we've been seeing from anime for a much longer time.
It's like you only have those those hits. Like, Batman the Animated Series was amazing.
Yeah.
But
Gargoyles.
Like there's some things here and there, but again, they're still usually aimed towards kids, at least at first. But
what's interesting is that it kind of comes full circle, because I'm sure you guys know this better than anybody. The history of anime, like when it started, was right after World War II, and Japan actually sent people to America to study Disney and figure out how they were doing this amazing animation that they were doing, and they wanted to be able to take it back to Japan. And when they got here and they saw it, they're like, oh my gosh, we could never spend that much money. I mean, we could never afford to do it at that level. And so what they did was they decided to take a different direction, and that was story driven, not so much spectacle and not so much the complexity of the animation, but the story would be the key. And now it's come full circle, because American companies are seeing the success of anime, and they're wanting to little by little craft more productions in an anime spirit. So it's kind of like
those Pixar shorts,
right
in the feels every time.
Oh my gosh.
Every time.
Yeah.
That's just brilliant storytelling, whether it's animated or live action. It's just brilliant storytelling, which is a lost art in many
Unlike
ways.
Makura no Danchi, which I don't know what that's about. Because you see that, like, I think Kelly and I are the only ones who saw the third episode of that weird thing.
I did.
So there's
you saw it too?
There's
it was really
a
weird.
body pillow anime.
We talked about this last week.
And then that's when we're like, oh yeah, it's still anime, guys. It's great, but it's still anime.
There's some things that are still anime.
Yeah, so we talked about this at length last week, so I won't belabor the point. But it's an anime where boys talk to you because they presume that the audience is lonely, and so the boy is like, "How was your day? I did this. You are cute," or whatever he says.
Yeah,
but
really,
it's getting progressively weirder.
But it's getting weirder and weirder. Like this most recent episode, he was like. He said he's a violinist, and he said something like, "Now I'm gonna play you. Make sure you squeal well." And I was like, "Excuse me."
And not only that, but then like 2 seconds later, a spider appears, and he freaks out and hides under the table. Like
and like that's the episode.
That's the episode. Because they're only 3 minutes long.
Yeah, it's so.
So welcome.
So they like look right at the end of the camera.
Yeah.
It's like Dora the Explorer. It's like,
Okay.
how was your day? That's great.
Yeah. Except it's like
Weird.
some weird boy in your house.
Yeah.
Today it sucked.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anime is either really good or really like, WTF? What am I watching?
Sometimes, like a joking thing I'll say is like, that is capital A anime. Like it's just the weird.
yeah.
What is happening? But all right.
It got greenlit. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, often when we're in the studio recording, there are a couple of directors at Funimation that you'll be recording, and you're in the booth and they're in the control room, and you're going through the scene, and something really weird is happening, and you'll say, you'll ask the director, because he's supposed to know, what, why did that, why is that? And he goes, because anime. Let's move on.
The question is why? The answer is anime.
Because anime. Because that's just what they do. That's just the way they do things.